My name is Robert Stone. I'm a private eye, and I'm good at finding things. Really good. Along with my partner Styx, we find things that want to remain hidden, like car keys, lost pets, unfaithful spouses, and homicidal maniacs. Not always in that order. We are detectives for hire in the sprawling metropolis called Freedom City. Here in our case files, you will find magic, monsters, mystery, and mayhem.
Manic Mysteries, featuring the voice talents of Jason Allen, Corey Teitzma, Jonathan Hutchinson, Kevin Meese, Sean and Sarah Cashman.
The case of the sheep in wolf's clothing. It all began with a phone call. Dick and Jane Detective Agency. This is Stone.
Robert, I need you to come down to Ridgeside.
What's the fire?
I'll explain when you get here. Head to Sunrise Boulevard, the biggest mansion there.
I'm on my way. I headed to the streets. From there, I would need to take a train to Ridgeside. I was lost in some metaphoric musings when I heard the distinctive patter of soft-soled sneakers walking beside me. That would be my partner, Styx. People refer to us as the Dick and Jane Detective Agency. As you can probably guess, we're not Dick and Jane, nor do we work for them. The prior occupants of our office space were a pair of accountants. You would be surprised how much accounting involves demon summoning. While inviting eldritch horrors over for a brief earthly visit might be good for accounting, it's bad for property values. Dark magic tends to leave a residue that won't come out with turpentine. There are parts of our office floor that give off a sickly green glow, and we periodically hear the tormented souls of the damned coming from the toilet. As such, we got the place for a song. We never bothered to change the names on the door, hence, Dick and Jane Detective Agency. Maybe we should fix that. I turned to Styx to express my revelation when I stopped dead in my tracks. Styx had on his normal running sneakers, frayed khaki pants, and a white t-shirt under a large brown duster jacket. He was also wearing a garish and large golden belt buckle that read, "No See 'em." However, what caused my sudden traffic stop was the large Santa Claus beard dangling from his face. This is Stash territory. They are a gang unique to Freedom City. The Stashes pride themselves on their well-groomed and luxuriant mustaches. They don't look kindly on anyone else with facial hair. If they see you with anything more than a slight 4 o'clock shadow on those cheeks, they will chase you down, beat you up, and shave you bald. They'll also rob you blind for their trouble. If you don't mind a few bruised ribs, it can actually be a pretty cheap haircut. What in the name of sweet Mother Molasses are you doing? Styx just smiled at me, shrugged, and waved me forward. We continued our walk. Perhaps I hoped we wouldn't run into any of the Stashes. We turned down East Elm and my hopes crashed like a drunk pilot. Perched on the railings of a front stoop were 4 of them, their long, luscious mustaches waving in the breeze. They all wore white t-shirts with colorful swear words and half-baked puns. One was actually flicking a barber razor like it was a yo-yo. They looked bored, and nothing is more dangerous than a bored gang member with coiffure tools. Styx didn't even glance at them. He just sauntered down the street. I hurried forward. I tried to position myself between Styx and the barbershop quartet. I knew it was fruitless. I knew they would notice him. I held my breath, and we walked right past them. You were either the luckiest man alive, or we just walked past the 4 most nearsighted Stashes in Freedom City.
It works.
Styx, what are you going on about?
My new visibility belt buckle. I got it free with 40 UPC tags from my favorite cereal, Magic Charms and Tree Bark. This belt creates an aura of invisibility. You can only see me if I'm within 5 feet of you or if I talk.
Wait, so you become visible if you speak?
Yep, it breaks the spell.
Beardo!
We better run.
The Stashes chased us for about 3 blocks. Right around southeasterly lane, we passed a street vendor selling fruit. Styx quickly put the Santa Claus beard on a melon as we rushed past. It slowed the Stashes long enough for us to duck down an alley and leap into a side door.
My cabbages! Put down my produce, you hoodlums! Die, Beardo!
It looks like we lost them.
But where are we?
Taking a moment to catch our breath, we turned around and came face to face with a large man holding a butcher knife with one hand and a frozen chicken in the other. The smell of salty MSG and grease flushed our nostrils. We had stumbled into the back kitchen of a Chinese restaurant. The short-order cook was clearly as startled to see us as we were him. I quickly cleared my throat, flashed my detective's badge, and said in a loud voice, "This is a health inspection."
What is this? Who are you, and what are you doing in my kitchen?
I'm Leewald Horskin, City Health. This is a surprise sanitation inspection. Are you the manager?
I'm Shin. What do you want here? I wasn't told you were coming. Of course. It wouldn't be a surprise inspection if you knew we were coming. Now let's see the grease pots you used to make wontons. I'm going to need to take a couple of samples to make sure there aren't any contaminants in the food.
And let's see the storage. We need to make sure there aren't any felines in the freezer.
How dare you? You don't have anything to hide, do you, Chin? What? No,
You better give us a full tour. Might as well start with the egg roll station.
Yes, certainly. Right this way.
10 minutes later, Styx and I left the quaint kitchens of Chens Restaurant. I had a bowl of chicken fried rice, and Styx munched on some pot liquors. We arrived at Richside 20 minutes later with sticky fingers and full bellies. However, a word of advice: never eat cheap and greasy food right before you walk into a murder scene. It never ends well. We met the Chief's boys and they led us into the biggest mansion I had ever seen.
So why are we here again?
Well, it might have something to do with the corpse.
That's a dead guy?
He has a dagger protruding from his back.
I thought it might be a throw rug. You know, a new fad, kind of like those sleeping kittens.
Who would use a fake dead body as a living room decoration?
We're in Richside. Nobody really understands these people. You've heard the expression, those with too much time and money are likely to waste both.
Too true, Styx, but I think the blood and the boys in blue suggest we have foul play on our hands.
It might. I've just got soy sauce and mustard on mine.
Robert. Styx. About time.
We aim to please and sometimes maim, Chief.
Who's the stiff?
Admiral Creddy.
The Admiral Creddy. The famous deep-fried lamb magnate?
The one and only.
I thought his golden hat looked familiar.
That's his toupee.
What do we know?
Early this morning, one of the kitchen staff came to bring the Admiral his breakfast tea, and she found him slumped over the desk with a large knife sticking out of him like a flag.
Hey, Chief, what's that in his mouth?
It's not a deep-fried lamb sandwich, is it?
Nope, just a rolled-up piece of wool.
That's strange.
I'll say. It should have at least had some cheese or bacon on it.
The coroner put the time of death around midnight, although we won't know for sure until the autopsy.
What about the necromantic seance?
No point. We know who did it.
Was it the butler?
Now come on, Styx, that's just a stereotype. Most butlers do not dabble in homicide.
If I were a butler, I'd put that on my resume.
Shut it, you two. It was the wife.
Hey, I thought you said there weren't any witnesses.
There weren't. The wife hasn't been seen for 3 days. Then when we checked their bedroom, we found a very interesting secret door. Come on.
We followed the police chief down several halls, up a few flights of stairs, and I swear into at least 4 other buildings before we arrived at the massive master bedroom of the king of deep-fried venison. The chief led us around a large circular 4-poster bed to a side room, uncreatively hidden behind a bookshelf. Inside was a small antechamber with no windows. What dominated the room was a large metal cage.
This cage has some pretty strong locks on it, and there's some claw marks and blood on the floor.
Looks like our General Mutton was into some kinky stuff.
I gather you found a calendar.
Yep, with the full moon circled on all of them.
Oh, I get it now. So Captain Veal was a werewolf.
I imagine it's the wife that's the lycanthrope.
How do you figure?
Call it intuition, Styx, but there's a rack full of women's clothing on that wall.
No comment. That is too easy.
We checked with the staff. The last full moon was 3 days ago.
The last time the wife was seen.
I need you two to put your nose to the ground and ferret her out.
The chief handed over a picture of a woman. Pretty, short, white hair, blue eyes, round face with dimpled cheeks. Not a thin supermodel like most trophy wives. She was plump, but not fat. She looked like one of those dolls you see hanging in toy shops. Her name, Marietta Curie. The chief wanted off the deal with the news media currently setting up tents outside, leaving Styx and myself in the cage room.
She sure doesn't look like a werewolf.
No, she doesn't. And the last I checked, werewolves eat their prey. They don't stab them with knives and then run away. Something about this doesn't smell right. Let's take a closer look around.
I'm on it.
Styx pulled out his portable chemical kit. He has one of those pockets that can connect to another dimension. You can store all sorts of things in there. It's a hoarder's dream and a pickpocket's nightmare. Needless to say, I left him to his work. I poked around in the clothes rack. It was filled with frilly dresses and gowns. There wasn't enough pink in there to make a unicorn sick. For the sake of my own sanity, I moved out to the bedroom. Apart from the bed itself, there were a couple of nightstands, a large cabinet, several shelves of various knickknacks that looked expensive and delicate, and a large vanity mirror next to a makeup hutch. On the table was a jewelry box. I picked it up and emptied out a large diamond necklace, some jeweled earrings, and gold bracelets of several sizes. It took a moment to find the trigger that opened the small compartment underneath that I knew was there. The jewels on top were meant to be a distraction for would-be thieves. It was standard to hide the real deal inside so they would be safe. At least that's how these old jewelry boxes were marketed a few years back. I remember the commercials. Unfortunately, the makers didn't account for thieves just taking the entire jewelry box, thus making secret compartments worthless. I found several carefully folded pieces of paper inside. A quick read told me all I needed to know. I wandered back to the cage room. Styx had several objects under the microscope, and was burning something that made the room smell like sweet potatoes. Find anything interesting?
Yes and no.
Could you be any more cryptic?
It's not what I found. It's what I didn't find that I find interesting.
I stand corrected.
We aren't dealing with a werewolf.
Are we back to the kinky hypothesis?
I don't think so. There's no wolf hair here. Even a werewolf sheds now and then. I did find a lot of sheep's wool. At first, I thought maybe he was feeding his wife some of the family victuals, but then I remembered that deep-fried lamb is hairless.
Your conclusion?
Mrs. Cruddy is a were-sheep.
Well, that's ironic on multiple levels.
But weirdly appropriate. How about you? What did your traditional snooping discover?
I found a secret stash of love letters addressed to Marietta.
Oh, let me see.
Sorry, you aren't old enough. The important thing is they weren't written by our dearly departed Admiral Cruddy. They were written by someone named Johnny B.
The plot thickens.
I think we have our first lead. Let's go talk to the servants. 9 hours.
I say 16.
Styx and I sometimes like to play this little game. We make a bet as to how long it takes us to find something or someone. Whoever's the closest gets to choose how our office looks into the next case. I don't mean to brag, but I win more often than not. So our office is usually a tasteful collection of black and white pictures and a nice set of guns hanging from the walls. It's respectable and practical. The last time Styx decorated, he was on a Polynesian kick. He brought in several tiki lamps, and every flat surface turned into a forest of pineapples. The worst part were the mounted fish. They were not only hideous, but after a few days they began to smell since Styx had gotten them from a second-hand dealer. It was a full 2 weeks before we got another case. Anyways, I digress. None of the staff had heard or knew of a guy named Johnny B, but one of them did mention that Miss Crady liked to frequent a lounge called the Fiddle Diddle. Styx and I decided to split up. He would check out the main fried lamb factory, while I headed for the speakeasy.
Styx here. I'm a 12th level detective class human male, 5 foot 6 inches with dusty blonde hair, blue eyes, and a fairly high initiative. I've been working on my reflex skills. My quest was simple. We needed to track down a murderous were-sheep stalking the city streets. Her husband, check that, ex-husband, owned one of the largest fried lamb fast food restaurants in all of the world. Whilst my companion uses his gather information skills, my task was to check out other possible hiding places. Admiral Credy owned a large factory on the outskirts of town where they housed their sheep. What better place for a were-sheep to hide but with other sheep? It took about 3 hours to get to the Admiral Credy lamb factory. I approached 4 buildings, each approximately 120 feet long, all running alongside one another in even rows. I could hear the loud bleating of hundreds of sheep. The place smelled pretty bad. I guess if you work here, you get used to the smell. The factory was surrounded by a large fence about 10 feet high and ringed with barbed wire. My climb skill stinks, so rather than risk embarrassment and tetanus, I decided for a more direct approach and headed to the main gates.
Welcome to Admiral Cruddy's Lamb Emporium.
Hello. I was wondering if I might take a look around. You see, I'm looking for someone and I think they might be here.
You must be with the tour group.
The what?
The tour group. We were on for a day. That's them over there.
The guard pointed to a group of about 15 commoners holding flashing cameras and talking excitedly with one another. Yes, I told the guard. Yes, I am. Having successfully made my bluff check, the guard waved me over and I was able to join the group of tourists.
Hello, and welcome to Admiral Credy's Lamb Emporium, the largest lamb factory in the world. It is here that we raise and process the meat that goes into our wide range of delicious food products. On behalf of the Admiral himself, I welcome you to this magnificent place. It is our pride and joy.
The tour began in the front offices where we got to see many different career paths available for Admiral Credy employees. It's amazing how exciting you can make dead-end, underpaid jobs look with the right flyers and models. We then stopped at a sample bar in which we got to try some of the many dishes they serve. Next was a large room with an enormous map on the floor with the many cities and locations of Admiral Credy lamb shops, all marked with tiny red flags. All I could think was if this was a war room, then Admiral Credy was well on his way to ruling the world. At the end of the map room was another sample bar, this time with exotic dishes that reflected local cuisines and only offered in specific locations. The tour guide continued to talk about the many ways that Admiral Creddy lamb shops support local business, better the environment, and do all sorts of other things. I don't know. I started tuning her out. I concluded that this was part of a hypnotic ritual designed to make visitors fall in love with Admiral Creddy. Thankfully, there were plenty of wool lying around, which I promptly shoved into my ears. We moved into the next building, which housed the sheep. There were a lot of them. We stopped every 15 minutes or so at a buffet table with more lamb meals. I suddenly realized why these tours were so popular. They had lamb burgers, lamb fries, bacon-wrapped lamb, cheese-stuffed lamb fritters, lamb nuggets, lamb salads, lamb shakes, sliced lamb kebabs, lamb rice bowls, lamb and secret sauce, lamb soy sauce, and even vegetarian lamb. I'm still trying to figure out that last one. I shoved some of the lamb kebabs in my handy pouch of holding for later. I might even give some to Stone. I searched for the were lamb, but it was like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Besides, looking at all the sheep just made me sleepy.
Here you can see the free-roaming sheep that we use for our tasty Uber lamb burgers. We feed them nothing but the highest quality kimchi grass grown by Eastern monks using nothing but mineral water. We then transport it here to the factory, where they are cleaned and undergo an 8-point inspection before they are processed.
Excuse me, where's the slaughterhouse?
We don't use that word here. We prefer the term processing system. That's in the next building over there, but that is not on the tour. Instead, we will head over to the last building, where you will get to see our master chefs working on our newest culinary creations to add to our scrumptious menu. If we're lucky, we might actually get to try some of these new dishes. This way, please.
I had no doubt that there would be another buffet table, but I ignored this tasty temptation. One successful stealth check later, and I managed to slip away from the tour group. I had a small penalty from overeating, but I successfully managed to sneak my way into the processing building. Security seemed very lax. Admiral Creddy's death should be hitting the news sheets about now, so perhaps there are a few people here who don't know yet. The vast building was composed of 3 long rooms, each one packed with sheep that were standing in lines leading to large machines that efficiently gutted and dismembered them. I can totally understand why it wasn't part of the tour. I felt sick to my stomach, and I wished that I hadn't eaten that second Uber lamb burger. Along the walls were some white plastic coats and hats. I quickly snagged one and put it on. I now looked like the myriad of other ghost-like employees. I approached a couple of local wage slaves.
Then she tells me that she'll stay with me as long as I can provide her with, all the lamb burgers she wants. I told her no problem. That's how I got married.
You're a lucky man, Gus.
Hey guys, how's it going?
As well as can be expected. You know, when you're covered in enough lamb blood to resurrect an ancient forest god.
Yeah, I don't think I know you.
I'm you. Name's Doe. John Doe. You guys been here long?
17 years.
5 years.
I hear that Admiral Creddy sometimes comes and visits this place. Is that true?
Yeah. He comes down here all the time. Of course, he doesn't come into this place very often.
He was here a couple of days ago.
Oh yeah. He was here 3 days ago? Strangest thing? He came in with, a sheep on a leash.
You don't say.
Yep, it was a big sheep, and it looked a little drunk.
What time was it?
Oh, it was late, I think. Past dark. Was awfully surprised to see him, I was.
Really? Did he say or do anything?
Not really. He just wanted to watch us work.
He was very interested in our job.
What happened to the sheep he was with?
Same thing that happens to every sheep that comes in here. Schlick.
Yep.
Really? He let the sheep die?
He insisted on watching the whole process himself. You know, you're asking a lot of questions. What unit are you with?
Well, enough chit-chat. I've got to get to work and join up with my unit. Thanks again, fellas. You've been enlightening.
That sure was weird.
Yeah, but you gotta be a little weird to do this job. Hey Mart, you got, some entrails behind your ear?
Thanks, buddy.
The Fiddle Diddle Club sat on the corner between a wealthy street and a poor one. It was like a fence separating the rich fat cats who lived for diversion and the disheveled masses who sought diversion from life. The neon lights in the club flickered feebly in the daylight. Night was when it really shone, and so did the club. I settled into the door and found myself in a ghost town of empty chairs and tables, a forlorn stage with a grand piano, and a single bartender carefully cleaning each and every glass behind the counter with the attention of an OCD ferret. He was a young man, probably chosen for his looks more than his skill with liquor, but I have been wrong before. It was like my old man used to say, never judge a book by its cover unless it happens to be made of human skin, at which point you should burn it with fire or run for the hills. The bartender glanced up as I entered and he grimaced.
We're closed. Come back tonight.
I'm not a customer. I'm here on business.
And what business might that be?
Murder.
Listen, I don't have much money. I'm just a bartender.
I'm not here to kill you. I'm looking for the murderer.
Oh, why didn't you say so?
What's your name?
Sam.
Listen, Sam, do you happen to know Mrs. Marietta Curie, the wife of Admiral Curie?
Mrs. Curie has been killed? I can't believe it.
No, her husband was. We're trying to find her.
Oh, that's so sad. I never met the Admiral. I just eat at his restaurants. I really like their deep-fried lamb with chickpeas.
Focus, Sam. What about Mrs. Curie?
I haven't seen her. Not since last Tuesday, at least.
Is she a regular here?
Oh yeah, she comes all the time to listen to Miss Sapora.
Miss Sapora? Who's that?
You've never heard of Miss Sapora? Why, she's one of the best singers in the world. She has the voice of an angel, and she's beautiful too. Mrs. Curie is one of her biggest fans. They like to have dinner together before Miss Sapora performs.
Is Miss Sapora here?
Yeah, she's in her dressing room. She should be awake right now. Just go knock on her door.
Thanks. Oh, and Sam?
Yeah?
Does the name Johnny ring any bells?
You must mean Johnny B. He plays the piano for Miss Sapora.
Really? Well, where can I find him?
He was with Miss Sapora last I saw.
I see. He likes the ladies, then.
He has quite a few.
What about him and Miss Sapora?
I don't think so. She's not his type. Now don't get me wrong, Miss Sapora is gorgeous, but Johnny B has more expensive taste, if you get my meaning.
I think I do. I know exactly what you mean.
Good. Can you explain it to me? That's what Miss Sapora told me when I asked her about it.
Maybe later, Sam.
Who are you? What do you want?
Whoa, easy, Chief. I'm just here to talk with the lady.
Who is it, Johnny?
Nobody. I'll get rid of him for you.
You must be Johnny B. I'm Robert Stone, Private Eye.
Oh, nice to meet you. Scram! Go away. You are really getting on my nerves.
Good. I was beginning to wonder if you had any.
Miss Sapora is indisposed.
What about me?
Good afternoon, ma'am. I take it you are Miss Sapora?
The one and only. And who are you?
He's just a...
Can it, Twinkle Fingers? My name is Robert Stone. I'm a private investigator.
I'm afraid I don't understand. What could you possibly want with me?
I understand you were friends with Mrs. Curie, the wife of the famous fried lamb shop owner?
Yes, we have dinner now and then. She's quite a fan of mine.
Have you seen her lately?
Not for a couple of days. What is this about?
Her husband was killed last night. We're trying to find her.
Killed?
Sapora, talk to me! Oh, she's fainted!
Looks that way.
Don't just stand there. Help me get her to the couch.
We carried the young lady to a nearby couch. Johnny B ran to get some smelling salts. Miss Sapora appeared to be in her early 30s. She had a plump but pretty face with dimples. Her hair was long and black with a white streak. She was wearing a simple white dressing gown with quite a bit of jewelry on her fingers and around her neck. I took the opportunity to look around a little. Her dressing room was larger than my apartment. One wall seemed to be devoted entirely to posters featuring the singer. Admittedly, the pictures were a good likeness. The other wall held a forest of evening gowns in various colors, sizes, and cuts. Some had barely enough fabric to count as clothing, while others had layers of cloth and looked complicated. Miss Sapora had a large vanity mirror with various items on it. There were a number of newspaper clippings, featuring pictures of Miss Sapora with the elite of the city. There was even one of Mrs. Curie. The two women were standing with their arms around each other. Also on the desk was a jewelry box with an elaborate letter M carved into it, a wig stand, and a rack of lipsticks with every conceivable color, including a few only visible to wyverns or the colorblind. Johnny B rushed back into the room. He struck me as a stereotype of the theater playboy with his slick back hair and razor-thin mustache. He carried himself with an exaggerated swagger that was almost comical. Johnny waved a small vial of smelling salts under Miss Sapora's nose.
What happened?
You fainted!
It must have been the flu. I feel so weak.
Have you been feeling under the weather?
Yeah, she has. My poor Miss Sapora's been suffering from the flu or something the last few days. She completely lost her voice.
It sounds fine to me.
I've only just recovered from it today.
She still needs a rest, so I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Not just yet. I have a few more questions.
Oh, it's all right, Johnny. Look, I'm sorry, Mr. Stone, but I really don't know anything that will help you. I saw Marietta last Tuesday when I performed. I came down with a spot of the flu that night, and I really haven't seen anyone since except Johnny, of course.
Been singing long?
All my life. It's my passion.
Sephora. That's an interesting name. Not your real one, I take it.
Oh, it's my stage name.
What's your real name?
I don't see how that's any of your business.
That's not a secret, but I don't see how it's going to help you with your investigation.
Just covering all the corners, ma'am.
It's Marianne.
Well, Marianne, where were you last night around midnight?
I was in my apartment, sleeping.
And what about you, Johnny B?
What about me?
Where were you last night?
I don't know what you're insinuating by these questions. I was with Miss Sephora, nursing her back to health.
I see. So you two are a couple?
Yes.
No.
You might want to figure that out. Well, thank you for your time, Miss Sephora. I do hope you feel better. And Johnny, I hope you catch it.
Welcome back, Detective.
Hello, Sam.
Did you find what you were looking for?
Maybe. I walked out with more questions than answers.
That doesn't make sense.
I sat in the Fiddle Diddle for another hour muddling over my strange conversation with the renowned vocalist and her pianist lackey. It seemed awfully convenient that Miss Sephora had lost her voice the same night she last saw Marietta Curie. Johnny B, he struck me as a womanizing weasel. They were hiding something, clearly. I was so lost in thought, I didn't even notice that Styx had been sitting next to me until he finished making a pyramid out of my empty beer glasses.
You done playing in your thinking zone?
Yeah, there's just a couple of puzzle pieces missing. You find out anything?
Our dearly departed deep-fried junk food mogul paid a visit to his factory last Wednesday.
The night his wife went missing?
Yep. He brought a large drugged sheep with him and insisted on watching as the workers processed it into lamb burgers.
The wife?
Possibly. If so, we're going to have a hard time tracking her down. They could be serving her as far as Lichtenville by now. How about you?
I found our mysterious Johnny B. He plays piano here.
Maybe Admiral Creddy found out about them, took care of her, and Johnny B went after him for revenge?
Nah, you haven't seen the guy. I can't see him being that attached to any woman, nor could he have snuck through Admiral Creddy's security system.
Too true. I took a look at it before we left. A troll-based imaging system. The trolls on guard only let in those people they recognized. Too bad they are too stupid to remember who they'd seen.
So, it would have to be someone who looked like the Admiral or his wife. Styx, that's it. That's the missing part.
Glad I could be of help.
Call Chief Buggins and get him over here. I know where our missing widow is.
You going to give me a clue?
What, and ruin the surprise?
You again? We already told you everything we know.
I doubt that. But then again, I might be overestimating your intelligence. This way, gentlemen.
What is the meaning of this?
Indeed. My apologies for the intrusion, madam. Stone, you'd better explain quickly. You told me you knew where Miss Creddy is, and while I am thrilled to meet Miss Sephora, I don't see our suspect.
That's because you're not looking close enough.
Well, where is she?
I'll get to that. First, let's set the scene. It seems that our Mrs. Creddy was having an affair with a certain unscrupulous piano player that happens to be in this room.
That's outrageous!
You'll find a cache of love notes in the jewelry box in Mrs. Creddy's bedroom, written by our good friend here. And I do hope he plays piano better than he writes poetry, because the latter really isn't his forte.
Ouch! 1 point for Stone.
Thank you. Mrs. Creddy has been visiting this establishment for a while. The servants at the Creddy household and the staff here can corroborate this. It seems that Admiral Creddy must have discovered something about the affair and decided to take matters into his own hands. Chief Buggins, you were correct that Mrs. Creddy was a lycanthrope, but not the lupine variety.
What do you mean?
There's no wolf fur in the cage. It's only sheep wool. Mrs. Creddy is a were-sheep.
If that doesn't beat all.
Last Wednesday was the full moon. That night, Admiral Creddy visited his factory. What did you discover there, Styx?
He showed up with a drugged-looking sheep and had the creature chopped into lamb nuggets.
Mary!
Did she faint again?
1 point for me,
I'm not sure if sending sensitive women into a swoon counts as a slam, Styx.
says the alliterative gumshoe. I'll take what I can get.
You caught me there.
So you're saying that Admiral Creddy killed his wife, then ground up her body into lamb burgers while she was in the form of a sheep in order to hide the murder?
I think that was his plan, but it didn't work. Take a close look at this picture of Mrs. Creddy and Miss Sephora.
What about it?
Look closely.
Oh, now that's evil.
I don't get it.
What? No, where am I?
Welcome back to the land of consciousness. You were probably better off asleep. Maybe you should count yourself.
Too true, Styx.
I don't understand.
Let me help you up.
As Styx helped Miss Sephora to her feet, he snatched off her wig, revealing short white hair and a dimpled face.
See here, give that back.
I don't believe it.
Miss Sephora's real name is Marianne. She is Marietta Curie's twin sister.
Is this true?
Yes, it's true. Marietta was my sister.
So it was you. The murder was revenge for your sister.
That's preposterous. I would have no idea how to break into the Creddy mansion. Besides, I've been sick with the flu for the last couple days.
That's partially true. Marianne and Marietta have the same face, and could easily fool the troll guards.
Yes, but that mansion's huge, and I've never been there. I couldn't possibly know where to go.
That's true. Marianne would probably have been caught, but Marietta knows the place well.
But I thought Marietta was dead.
Not unless they played the old switcheroo.
Yep. This is a guess now, but I think Marianne would pretend to be Marietta and stay at the mansion while her sister ran around with this twiggy pianist, and no one would be the wiser.
So when Admiral Creddy tried to dispose of his wayward wife,
He actually drugged up and killed her sister, and in the process robbed our world of a beautiful voice.
That's ridiculous.
Well, there's one way to tell. Sing us a song.
What?
Sing for us. I doubt that Marietta Creddy bothered to develop that particular skill. She married into wealth. Marianne had to make her own way.
so let's hear a song.
So yeah, a song. The diamond sings another river in the wind, and... Okay, fine. I'm Marietta Curie, but you have no proof that I killed my husband.
You're right. It could have been Johnny over there.
I ain't no murderer. I didn't do nothing.
He does look like the murderer type.
If I were the judge, I'd convict him.
Killing a noble, he'll go to jail for years.
Probably life.
The life? No, it was her. She did it. I know she did it. I can show you the bloody gloves she used.
Johnny, how could you? I thought you loved me.
I do love you. I just can't do prison. I can't. Do you know what they do to guys like me?
Take them away.
She always hated him. She said she'd make him pay for killing Marianne.
Johnny, if you do not shut up this instant...
Good work, boys.
Thank you, Chief. I'd say this case is closed.
Nuts.
What's wrong, Styx?
11 hours. You won.
Maybe next time, Styx. Thus ended the case of the sheep in wolf's clothing. Johnny B admitted to the whole plot, and Marietta Creddy is currently serving time for the murder of her husband. Styx swore off lamb burgers for about 2 weeks. Tune in for our next mystery. Hey, this is Robert Stone. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like and subscribe, and hit that notification button so you'll know when the next episode of Manic Mysteries comes out.